Hey everyone, it's Joy here for Honeybee Stamps, and today I made a fun little postcard using the Time to Go postcard die and a few other stamps. So I've die cut the die here. I'm using this piece here. You get 4 different pieces. And then I used this frame piece here, and I've die cut it from white cardstock, and we're just going to add a ton of color to this. Then I've used this little stamp here to create our stamp for our postcard. Now I want to stamp an image on here. I am going to be using the Beach Please stamp set, but I want to take some low tack tape and mask off this section on the left. This doesn't have any of the embossed details, and I don't want to stamp across the line. Essentially, I want it just to be in this section. Ultimately, I really didn't need to tape down the sides because I'm going to be putting a frame around it anyways, but I kind of wasn't thinking ahead. I'm going to place this in my MISTI, and I'm going to use that super cute little beach hut from the Beach Please stamp set. I'm going to line that up. Some of the images on this will actually get cut off, so I'm just lining it up so I can get the parts that I really want to see. And then I'm going to ink that up with Honeybee Stamps Intense Black ink. And we're going to be using some Distress watercolor pencils to color our image. We're also going to be using some Distress inks, some Distress Spritz, Brayer. So it's just a bunch of little things that we're going to be using to create this postmark card. Then these palm trees are from the Light the Way stamp, and I inked that up with Picked Raspberry Distress Oxide ink. And now we can start coloring our image here. So I'm going to tell you what colors I'm using from the Distress watercolors and what set they come in. So this is Antique Linen, and this is from set 2. And then Gathered Twigs here from set 5. And really my inspiration was like 80s bright colors, like 80s Miami was kind of my inspiration for this background, with the fun bright pink and the teal colors, the Salvaged Patina color. So that was just kind of my loose inspiration for the background on this. So I colored the deck that brown color. Then we have Lost Shadow, which is from set 6, and I'm using that on the rocks. Then of course we have Salvaged Patina, and I just knew this little beach hut needed to be Salvaged Patina. That is from set 1. I'm also going to be using Picked Raspberry on here for the door and some of the eaves, and that is going to be from set 1 as well. So I'm just coloring some of the areas a little bit, like I'm tracing those lines there, adding a little bit of a shadow area, dipping my paintbrush in some water, and then just gently blending it out. But look at how cute that pop of pink is on this door. I just really wanted this to feel so just easy and fun and just kind of bright. Then I'm using Peacock feathers, and that is from set 3. And that's going to be a part of the eaves, then part of our surfboard here. I'm going to add some abandoned coral to the center of that surfboard, and that is from set 6. And the chair is going to be that color. Off to the right, there is a little towel rack that I'm also going to be coloring using that abandoned coral. Then we have that peacock feathers for the frame of the window. I'm going to use just a light coloring of Tumbled Glass. I don't blend that, but Tumbled Glass is from set 3 as well. I have Lumberjack Plaid, that is from set 6. So I'm going to use a little bit of that peacock feathers to color our little lifesaver there. And then a Rustic Wilderness from set 3 for the palm fronds. I'm adding color to the base and up the center stem of the palm tree fronds, and then I'm just going to blend that out with my water brush pen, even though I don't have any water in it. I just dip it. I just use it like a paintbrush. And then I'm using the Gathered Twigs and the abandoned coral for that side. Lost Shadow for the cute little basket, and then abandoned coral, Picked Raspberry, and I think peacock feathers for the little towels in there. And I'm just going to come back in and add, once the paper's dry, you can add more of the watercolor pencils, but if it's wet, it just doesn't color. So just wait for your paper to dry and then you can give a nice good color. But look at that cute image. Now I'm going to take our little stamp that we stamped those palm trees on, and I'm just going to run this through, I think this is the Salvaged Patina. Yeah. And I just want some edges on that. I just want some dark kind of distressed edges. Then I'm using a small brayer and I'm just going to lightly go over this. I want to see the embossed images from the die, but you can see that I'm taking the ink to a scratch piece of paper first because I don't want it super dark. So it's almost like second generation rolling instead of second generation stamping. And then I'm just going to lightly go over my image as well. It felt a little scary, but I did it. Then I'm using Distress Spritz Picked Raspberry, and I was trying to just get some medium-sized blobs, but then I got a couple big ones and I panicked for a second, but then I thought, you know, that's just part of spritzing your background with product. You're going to get different sizes. So then I took the lid off and now I'm tapping to get some smaller ones. But I ended up loving the bigger splotches actually, but at first I was like, panic, and then don't panic, and it turned out fine. I'm going to add some foam adhesive behind my cute little stamp here and pop that in place. And I think this is just starting to look so, so cute. Then from the Time to Go postcard, we have that frame that I showed you at the beginning. I'm just going to quickly ink blend the background with Peacock Feathers Distress Oxide ink, but I almost feel like I didn't need to because I'm going to use the Distress Spritz in Peacock Feathers, and I soaked this frame, so I kind of feel like I didn't need to ink blend it. So I think you can leave that part out if you were to recreate this. I'm going to put this in my little splatter box here, and I'm just going to hose this down. So that's why I think maybe I didn't actually need to ink blend it, but who knows, I'll have to try it without. Then from the Time to Go postcard, you have the Time to Go sentiment. I originally started with white cardstock and I was going to ink blend it, but I thought, no, I need something to break up all the colors in the back. So I decided to die cut from black cardstock twice just to give it a little bit of dimension. And I think it just pops off the background so nicely. So I'm going to adhere those two layers together. I'm just using some reverse tweezers and liquid glue. Normally when I glue sentiments together like this, I tend to go 3 times, but I didn't need it to be that thick on this background because the stamp kind of stands up taller. So I wanted this to be a little bit shorter. And I decided to go on an angle. It just felt a little more fun. So I'm going to pop that in place. I am going to use a sentiment from the Beach Please stamp set. I end up using the Relax and Enjoy, which we'll put down here in just a second. But I was just eyeballing, making sure everything's going to look great, figuring out how I want things to be laid out. So let's put this sentiment in place. And again, I love the black. It pops off the background and it just kind of breaks up all of those other colors. I'm going to tuck it in around that stamp. And then I am going to use the little registration marks from the Postmarked stamp set from a couple releases ago. I just thought I need a little more black on here. I want something on the stamp itself. So I'm going to ink that up. And using my acrylic block, I'm just going to stamp that in place. And I'm so glad I did. It looks really good. And then the sentiment from the Beach Please stamp set. I'm going to ink up, and just there is lines like where you're going to write your address or a little note on the postcard, and that is embossed from the die, and I am lining up my sentiment with one of those lines. And then I'm going to stamp that. It says Relax and Enjoy. Then we can place our frame on here, and I would say die cut another one of the postcard pieces and adhere it to this because this is a little bit warped from all the ink blending and spritzing. But we are finished with this card and I think it turned out so cute. I love it. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by and watching. I hope that you feel inspired by this project and I hope you guys have a wonderful day.